The Junior GP World Championship arrives at Circuit Ricardo Tormo for the season finale, marking our first visit to Valencia since 2023. It is the last chapter of an action-packed year, and while the title has already been decided with Brian Uriarte crowned champion, the fight for the silver and bronze medals is still wide open as the curtain comes down on another unforgettable season. Known for its stadium-style layout and electric atmosphere, Valencia's 4-kilometre circuit features 14 turns, 9 of which are left and 5 right, creating a technical flowing challenge that rewards precision and racecraft. With 2 races set to close out the year, the Junior GP grid is ready to deliver one final showdown. Last time out though, the Junior GP class took on Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Brian Uriarte started from pole position as he aimed to seal the Junior GP World Championship title, but it was Joel Esteban and Marco Morelli who hit the front going through the opening corners. Kevin Farkas was an early faller, but at the front a lead group formed with all the usual contenders. Uriarte, Esteban, O'Gorman, Morelli all did their share of front running. Eventually, Jesus Rios made his move at the final corner on the last lap, and he made it count as he stormed to a first victory in over a year, with Uriarte and Salmela on the podium, Morelli just missing out. Having missed out in race 1 though, Morelli came storming out of the blocks in race 2 to take the whole shot and open up an unassailable advantage from lap 1, with the race becoming a battle for second. Lucas Brown unfortunately crashed out of the race as Esteban and Uriarte fought for second place. Uriarte took second behind Morelli, and he was crowned Junior GP World Champion 2025 with a round to spare and kick off the celebrations in Barcelona, which I am sure they have continued over here to Valencia. But it is back to business for the Junior GP class. As mentioned, Uriarte is our champion this year, doing the Red Bull Rookies Cup and Junior GP double. But silver and bronze medal are very much up for grabs here from a sunny Valencia, which I am delighted to say, after a crisp and chilly qualifying on Saturday, that the sun is beating down on Circuit Ricardo Tormo. I am Chris Jordan, and joining me for the season finale, as always, is Mr. Connor Doherty. Connor, welcome along.
Thank you very much, Chris. An absolute pleasure to be here with you in Valencia. We just got a shot of it there. The orange trees in the middle of the circuit, the blossoms, the smell and the sound of bikes, all contributing to a fantastic atmosphere at the Circuit Ricardo Tormo. We're in for a real spectacle, I think, for the curtain closer here, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Qualifying anything to go by, Marco Morelli is very much the rider to watch. He had half a second in his back pocket on Saturday, but it has to be said, conditions were very different yesterday. It was very, very chilly Saturday afternoon here in Valencia, and that is not the case ahead of race 1 here. So track temperatures and conditions will be somewhat different to qualifying. It is Marco Morelli starting on pole with Jesus Rios and Brian Uriarte joining him on the front row. That is the same front row as what we saw in Barcelona, however in reverse order. David Gonzalez, Joel Esteban, Leonardo Zani are on row 2, but there is Morelli, and let's see how he fared in qualifying.
It's very important, had a good qualifying, and we did it. We are working really well during all the weekend. I feel good, it's just come easy, and that's the important thing, no? Let's see tomorrow, it will be a difficult race. Everyone wants to push because it's the last one of the year. So let's see, I want to enjoy and spend these 2 last races more with them, love junior talent team. That is my family and will be my family forever. Well, it seems we have the pace and we have the confidence, so yeah, I feel quite strong, so I will try to do my best and for sure take the victory.
That 136 flat then, enough to see Marco Morelli on pole, and as we mentioned, it was more than enough. He had half a second in his back pocket over Jesus Rios, and he very much is a rider in form. About to step up to the Moto3 World Championship class next year, Connor, with the Aspire team. He will be desperate to pick up another strong result with the MLab squad before leaving for pastures new in 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way that he left off things in Barcelona last time out and his terrific performance in qualifying indicate that that could well be the case. He said it was a good performance in qualifying. It was actually great because just 2 weeks ago, Adrian Fernandez in the Moto3 World Championship sealed pole with a time of 1:36.99. And that was a lap record, Chris. And not just Marco Morelli smashed that, but the entire front row did better.
Yeah, pretty outstanding stuff, it has to be said. Morelli, Rios and Uriarte all going better than the Moto3 race winner in the season finale just 1 week ago when the curtain came down on the MotoGP, Moto2 and Moto3 seasons. So expect an electric start to this one. Of course, all our front row will be getting a little bit more accustomed to them in the World Championship stage. All three of them moving to the Moto3 teams. I think I counted 7 riders of our current grid are moving up to Moto3 next season. Marco Morelli, he's going to partner Max Quiles at the Aspire team. What a team that's going to be. Max Quiles, the Rookie of the Year in 2025 in the Moto3 World Championship. He'll be starting next season as a championship contender. Then, of course, Brian Uriarte, the star of JuniorGP in 2025, is also moving up with Red Bull KTM IO. He's had 4 races in the World Championship stage this year and has been very impressive in all of them. Some of the other riders to go are Rico Salmela, who is in that battle for the top 3, currently P3 in the championship. Joel Esteban also in that fight for the medal positions, while Hakim Danish, Casey O'Gorman, Veda Pradama and Zen Matani also moving up. Jesus Rios is going to partner Nicola Carraro at the Snipers team next year, and then Adrian Cruces is another rider who'll make the jump up next season. All of whom have picked up some experience on the World Championship stage in 2025. So certainly riders to keep an eye on. As is that one just on screen, David Gonzalez, the number 11. A very, very fast rider on his day, Connor.
Yeah, absolutely. And just that list of talent that you just named, it's really proving how well the Road to MotoGP project is working. It's absolutely incredible to see this talent transferring over to the World Championship stage, and deservedly so.
Yeah, I said there were 7 riders. There is 10. So once again, my ability to count failing me. Well, let's focus on the race ahead, because we have 2 JuniorGP races coming your way today, and of course 3 title deciders, all in single race shootouts. But we'll focus on JuniorGP for the time being. There's a little bit of history to be made for some of the riders. Marco Morelli, of course, is sitting P2 in the championship with an 11-point advantage over Rico Salmela in 3rd. He's going to be chasing a top 3 finish, and of course he'll be chasing a victory here to hopefully seal 2nd in the championship, which would be a first for the MLab Racing squad in the JuniorGP category. Of course, Marco Morelli was P2 in last year's European Talent Cup, so P2 in European Talent Cup, P2 in JuniorGP in the offing. Adrian Cruces, then one of the riders we said is going to be on that Moto3 grid next season with CIP Green Power. He's had an interesting year, has Cruces. We started off in the Moto2 Championship, European Championship that is. We've seen him in the Moto3 Championship as well, and now he's back here in the JuniorGP class for one farewell race. So it'll be interesting to see how Cruces gets on. He is starting 7th on the grid.
We did see as well his future teammate at that CIP Green Power team for next year, Scott Ogden, in this paddock as well yesterday, Chris, didn't we? So fans...
Yeah, we've seen a number of stars from the Moto3 class in attendance this weekend in Valencia. We've got Joel Kelso was spotted and spun a couple laps with the MLab squad ahead of his move there next season. While we also saw David Almanza, who's been ever so impressive at the end of the Moto3 campaign. He's also in attendance at his home Grand Prix. Pretty sure there are 1 or 2 others out there, but they have evaded our eyes so far. Hakim Danish then on screen, the talented Malaysian rider. who had such a stellar campaign in the Red Bull Rookies Cup. Only the one podium to his name in 2025's Junior GP category. But he's been brilliant in the Red Bull Rookies Cup, where he, Veda Pratama and Brian Uriarte went toe-to-toe for the title. It was Uriarte who stole a march on the rest of the field towards the end of the season. Of course, picking up a double win at the Red Bull Ring, and of course Mizano as well, helping him seal that title. Hakim Danish picked up a win in Aragon in the Red Bull Rookies Cup, as well as a number of P2s for a top 3 finish. So Hakim Danish, one to watch here, charging from the outside of the 3rd row, as is Casey O'Gorman. Casey, ever so impressive. Has not got that win yet in Junior GP. This is his final chance to get that win, with Casey stepping up next year with the 658 Squadra Corsa team in Moto 3.
Yeah, he has been extraordinarily impressive, especially in the middle of the season when he got that run of 3 P2s in a row in Magny-Cours and in Aragon. So now that we're back in Spain, maybe he'll be in with another opportunity here.
Yeah, he's also in the battle for the medal positions. Just to give you a state of play, so Uriarte is our champion with an unassailable 199 points with 2 races to go. Marco Morelli then is on 133 points and on pole position here. He's got an 11-point cushion over Rico Salmela, who's on 122. And then it's Joel Esteban and Casey O'Gorman tied on 120 points. So 3rd, 4th and 5th are separated by just 2 points. Then, of course, Victor in Barcelona, Jesus Rios, goes from the front row, and he is just 11 points behind Rico Salmela. Leonardo Zani and Hakim Danish both have small hopes of getting into the medals, but they need some slip-ups from the riders ahead of them.
Let's take a look at our starting grid then. We've been praising him all morning. Marco Morelli on pole, and is joined on the front row by Jesus Rios and Brian Uriarte. Behind them on row 2, we've got Gonzalez, Esteban and Zani. And on row 3, Cruzes, Salmela and Hakim Danish. Then on row 4, it's Casey O'Gorman, Veda Pratama and Giulio Pugliese. On row 5, Mouncy, Bellon and Belford. On row 6, Mitani, Michelon and Monognane. Further back on row 7, we've got Boggio, Ramostoffer and Brown. On row 8, Fomera, Nicolis and Singapong. On row 9, Uchiumi, Daniel and Farkas. On row 10, it's Tiezzi, Bertola and Schonrock. And at the back, row 11, Truchot and Abruzzo.
So almost go time here as the bikes come streaming past our commentary booth here for the warm-up lap, and it is Uriarte who's going to lead them around on this warm-up lap. Interesting race ahead, it has to be said. Morelli was the standout star from Saturday's action here in Valencia, and he deservedly goes from pole position. If he has any of that form that he showed last time out in Barcelona, he'll be looking for back-to-back wins here. But with the likes of Rios, Uriarte, Gonzalez, our 2023 Valencia winner Joel Esteban, Leonardo Zani, Adrian Cruzes, Connor, Rico Salmela, all of them are more than capable of taking a victory here. Let's not forget about some of the other riders who are starting a little bit further back, looking to make an impression too here in this season finale. Who's your money on, Connor?
I'm not a betting man, and you know that well, but when you've got the likes of this talent on display on this track here in Valencia, it's so difficult to say. I mean, what we've seen from Marco Morelli so far... I'm going to have to push you for an
answer.
Morelli was so sensational in qualifying that I think he must be the favourite. I mean, half a second ahead of the rest. It's just been sensational from him all weekend so far. But now this is where the pressure is on. He's going to want that 2nd position, and it's his last opportunity to do so, really, in this final round in the FIM Junior GP World Championship. What about yourself, Chris?
Well, I was just about to say, Connor, doesn't it feel so much better now to be off the fence and more relaxed? But I couldn't possibly give you a winner. No, Morelli has to be the favourite here, but you can't write off Brian Uriarte, who is just a mega talent at this level. The battle for that top 3 could throw up a couple of interesting rides, but I'll have to go with Marco Morelli as well. He was just so impressive in qualifying. But we know Junior GP is ever so unpredictable. If nobody breaks away, then it's anybody's race. However, Morelli and Uriarte both have form of breaking away, so it'll be interesting to keep an eye on them over the opening laps. Eyes then on the number 97, the Argentinian going from pole in the first of 2 Junior GP races. The number 54, Jesus Rios, going from the middle of the front row, and the 51 of Brian Uriarte on the outside of the front row. And away go the lights. Revs are rising, and we are racing in Valencia. It's a superb start from Brian Uriarte, who goes straight into second place. But Morelli has got the dream launch from pole position and the whole shot. David Gonzalez is about to throw one up the inside to get himself into the top 5. But what a launch from Marco Morelli. He's already opened up a little. But 2 bike lanes, 3 bike lanes. Well, Jesus Rios is going backwards. He's trying to fight back now against Joel Esteban, I think it is.
Yeah, Esteban got away really well there, but Rios just managed to catch up again there. But great start from Esteban. He pulled up to P3 for a while there, but we'll be seeing that battle with Rios, I think, throughout this race.
Yeah, absolutely sensational start from Morelli. Jesus Rios has recovered the podium position then from Joel Esteban. Uriarte slots into second, so they've all gone a little bit wide there. However, there is no green, so it's allowed. Number 97, Marco Morelli, then, is going to try and break away early here, just like he did in Barcelona. But Brian Uriarte is looking to get the hooks into him as well, and does not want to let the Argentinian run away with this. And the front 2 have opened up a big gap already to the rest of the field. Now, it is only lap 1 and there is a long way to go, but we have seen both of these riders have form in getting away from the rest of the field. It's Jesus Rios then over Joel Esteban. While next up, I think it is Rico Salmela who is seen there.
David Gonzalez there.
Going on the outside. Is he going to make that one stick? I don't think he's going to. Never mind. Joel Esteban's got to go back on the inside. Brilliant stuff from David Gonzalez.
Yeah, absolutely sensational from Gonzalez there. But these riders behind the front 2 are going to have to work together and not allow them to escape too early. And as you mentioned there, Marco Morelli is soaring ahead, and Brian Uriarte is not too far behind, and this battle between Esteban and Gonzalez could prove very costly to their chances of finishing on the podium.
A number of riders going very
Ruthes getting involved there as well.
At turn 1. Well, this is all playing into the hands of Morelli out front. He's got, after 1 lap, Connor, a 1.4 second advantage over Jesus Rios in 3rd position, and 0.7 of a second over Brian Uriarte in 2nd. So
this is what we were saying all morning.
Yeah.
Morelli has been a class above here in Valencia this time out, and he's showing it time and time again in every single session. Marco Morelli has been absolutely sensational there. A bit of a wobble there, a bit further back.
Yeah, absolutely. Morelli showing his qualifying pace here then was no one-off fluke. He is flying here in Valencia as they come through turns 9 and 10. Brian Uriarte and Jesus Rios have settled into P2, P3, but behind them, it's all chopping and changing. Casey O'Gorman working his way through there on, I believe, was it Joel Esteban? Oh, David Gonzalez, excuse me.
Who's going backwards. He finished that last lap in P4.
Yeah, David Gonzalez was battling. We've got yellow flags to turn 11, but Gonzalez was outside that top 4 with Esteban, and he is pushing himself, going the wrong way here. He's got Leonardo Zani of the FIM Network Mirror team in that pink helmet all over his rear wheel. Then there's a little bit of a gap back to the likes of Veda Pratama and Hakim Danish.
Yeah, not looking too thrilled in that Aspar box there.
Rico Salmela then pulls up alongside the number 10 of Adrian Cruces and drives up the inside. Is that who have we lost here? Yeah, well, disappointment. Yeah, I believe that is Christian Daniel.
Yeah.
The number 70 out of this race. Disappointment then for the young rider.
Yeah, he's tremendously frustrated.
Yeah, that's another DNF for him this season. He's had quite a few. Yet to score a point, I think, by my reckoning. So hopefully he will be back in race 2 and get himself among the top 15.
Seems to have got a bit closer here to Brian Uriarte. That's very, very interesting to see. Rios pulling away as well now, not allowing these front two any measure of comfort.
Yeah. Uriarte is now 1.2 seconds behind, and it's about to get worse because Jesus Rios makes the move. Brilliant stuff from Jesus Rios, and that puts him into second position, and I believe into the bronze medal position in... It should. I'm not going to trust my maths, but...
Wait until TV Direction gives us the stats.
Yeah. So Marco Morelli then looking to seal silver, but the battle for bronze is very much alive. Brian Uriarte, we're not used to seeing this from him. It looks like he'll just have to settle in behind the number 54 here for a little while. Rios seems to have the superior pace. Is he going to make a move coming into turn one? Yeah, what do I know, Connor? Never mind settling in. Uriarte fights right back, but goes wide
very
again.
Wide there.
Time and time again, we've been seeing this. We saw it as well in the MotoGP finale as well. Riders just running it wide at turn one plenty of times. So, a battle for second and third here, which is music to the ears of Marco Morelli. He's now got a 2-second advantage over Rios and Uriarte, and what, 3 laps in, 3.5 laps in almost. Huge advantage for the Argentinian.
And it's what we saw in Barcelona as well. Morelli really displaying the talent that he's got. He's really come into his own in the second half of this season. It looked like adapting from the ETC wasn't coming too easily for him at the beginning of this campaign in 2025. Wasn't getting the results that maybe we expected, but come the second half of this season, from the race 2 in Aragon, he's been on the podium 4 times in 5 races, including that win in Misano and of course in Catalonia last time out. So absolutely fantastic stuff. Something just clicked in that garage for Marco Morelli, and
yeah, well, of course there were some behind the scenes changes at the M-Lab squad after the opening couple of rounds as a long lap is confirmed for Leonardo Abruzzo. He had that one coming into this race, of course. But yeah, the behind the scenes changes of the crew chief of Franco Vicente, brought over from the MTI MSI helmet squad, of course, has plenty of experience with Ayagura, has clearly had a positive effect as Uriarte and Rios battling in going through turn one. It's Rios holds on to second position, but going back onto Morelli, the uptick in his fortune seems to coincide with the introduction of Franco Vicente into the garage. So good to see it's having the positive effect, because we've always known, as you said, Morelli is a fast rider. We saw that in ETC. He battled with Carlos Cano, of course. We saw Emilio Alzamora on screen just there, one of Alzamora's other riders in the European Talent Cup. The reigning ETC champion is Carlos Cano. He won it in 2024. Morelli came second, and we saw the talent that he was. And now that is translating into Junior GP, and of course the Aspar team, known for picking and plucking the very best talents.
Absolutely.
Look at Max Quiles has been there, David Alonso is there, Danny Olgado had a stint there as well, currently having a stint there in Moto 2. Morelli is going to go into that environment, and you would have to say, or have to hope, that all the ingredients are there for him to thrive in that paddock in Moto 3 World Championship, as the Australian Galicias now go side by side. We're watching Rico Salmela and Casey O'Gorman, both of whom started on the 3rd and 4th row. Salmela P8, Casey O'Gorman at the head of the 4th. It's Salmela who does hold the advantage for P4 as things stand, but it looks like there might be a little move coming up here. Well, we see Uriarte reclaim second place from Rios. Salmela seems to have held on to 4th as we get another shot of the 72 Art Box team, and O'Gorman now has made that move through on his teammate Salmela. So it's Uriarte in second place ahead of Jesus Rios, Casey O'Gorman ahead of Rico Salmela, and Joel Esteban in 6th.
Yeah, these two Australia Galicia riders really ought to start working together now to try and reel in Rios and Uriarte at least. I mean, for the time being, barring anything sensational, Marco Morelli is running away with this, at least 3 seconds ahead.
Yeah, Marco Morelli is on another planet right now. He has been for the majority of this weekend. He was, of course, on another planet to everybody else in race 2 in Barcelona. He only just missed out on the race he came fourth, but he just missed out on the race victory in race 1, of course, up in the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, with Jesus Rios pulling off a last lap move and Morelli running wide, allowing some of the other riders to barge on through. As Casey O'Gorman has a little look down there. Something's gone wrong for the Irish rider. He's back in 8th position. He was running in 4th just a couple corners ago. He ran it wide coming out of, was that turn 12, I think, and he had a little look down to his right hand side. So is there an issue? So here we go, the standings. See, Uriarte, of course, the champion, but Morelli will take 2nd place if things remain as they are. Rico Salmela is still holding on to 3rd position with his P4, but Joel Esteban is right behind him in both the race and the championship standings, and they all run wide there. Is that going to shake things up? Not quite, as they all hold on to their positions, but it looks like 2nd is going to be wrapped up, provided there are no frills and no dangers for Marco Morelli, and then the battle for bronze will go down to the season finale later this afternoon.
Something that could shake things up is a long lap penalty for Rico Salmela there. We'll see what that does to this race with 10 laps to go.
That is going to change things up. We've also got a yellow flag back at turn 2. We'll bring you an update of who has gone down there or gone wide once we know. It's a long lap penalty though for Rico Salmela. He's running in 4th position, currently P3 in the championship standings, but that would drop him behind the likes of Joel Esteban and further away from Rios and Morelli. So he would lose that bronze medal position unless he comes out of the long lap penalty. He would then need quite the comeback ride to get himself back into the top 3 positions by the end of this race. Leo Rammersdorfer then unfortunately out of this race.
Yeah, tremendous frustration for him, and we are back at the front with Marco Morelli. Just a wonderful shot there that really underscores the difference in his riding there, and there it is confirmed, 3.749 seconds of a gap between Morelli and Uriarte, who is still engaged in this battle with Rios. It's going to be very interesting to see a bit further back exactly where Salmela does end up, and it does mean that his chances of getting that all important but ever elusive win, well, there's a real dent in the possibility of that for Salmela as he bids goodbye to Junior GP ahead of his move to the Moto3 World Championship.
Eyes just now on the battle for 10th. Veda Pratama, the Indonesian rider, another rider who's going to make the step up to Moto3 next season, leading Giulio Pugliese, Zen Mitani, Sullivan Mounty in that group of 4. Zen Mitani, of course, will also step up to Moto3 with the Honda Team Asia next season. 2 very, very talented riders coming from Asia. Zen Mitani pretty impressive in his appearances in Moto3 Championship this season. Rico Salmela pulls out into the long lap penalty. Yeah, well, it looks like he's gotten through no problems. It wasn't the smoothest of efforts, but that has dropped him back to 8th position behind Leonardo Zani. So that will move Joel Esteban. There you have it, Joel Esteban into 3rd, 3 points ahead of Rico Salmela. So they're not much in it, it has to be said. And if Salmela can display some of the pace he's already shown, you would imagine he can find his way back towards the top 5. Long way to go in this race, yes, as we clock off another lap. 8 to go, to be a little bit more precise. Rico Salmela then hunting down Leonardo Zani just ahead of him for P7. Are we going to see a move coming into turn 2? I think we are, and the Flying Finn sails through.
I think we have to confirm as well, Casey O'Gorman has retired now, which will be tremendously frustrating for him.
Yeah, frustrating few moments then for the Australia Galicia team, particularly the 2 riders. Oh, Rico Salmela out of his seat there. Can you take any more drama, any more spikes in the heart rate down the Australia Galicia 0-0 box? Salmela, long lap penalty, and then nearly loses it a couple corners later, while Casey O'Gorman, disappointment for the Irish rider, as he is now out of the race and in all likelihood probably out of the medal reckoning. You never know what can happen, though, in race 2 later today. He will be, of course, among those podium contenders, it has to be said. Marco Morelli, though, will anybody be able to catch him? Never mind in this race. And what about this afternoon as well? Morelli is just on another planet here, just racking off. 137.1 last time, was 6/10 quicker than Brian Uriarte. Incredible stuff.
Yeah, it really is. Morelli, we've been praising him all morning, and I don't think you can give him any more plaudits than what we have done already. He's finally broken that 4-second gap mark as well, so
it's almost to the point now with Morelli of Uriarte romped home to this year's Junior GP Championship and did the Rookies Cup double. And let's not make no mistakes, Uriarte is a phenomenally talented rider. We've seen that in European Talent Cup. We saw it in Junior GP last year when he stepped up and immediately took wins, podiums, and was constantly challenging, and he just continued his progression. But it's
David Alonso, hello.
There's David Alonso in as well, but it's almost a case of what could have been this year for the MLab squad as Rios does go through on Uriarte. As Morelli, his recent form has just simply been sensational and unrivaled.
Yeah, it's been absolutely scintillating. And I wonder if he thinks that maybe if some changes had been made earlier, he could have been standing on that top step of the podium more often and more frequently, which would have been the most important thing at the beginning of the season, ahead of Uriarte.
Yeah, I mean, when you compare his form across the first 5 races to the last 5, the first 5 saw him P7, P8, P13, P5, P9. Very, very respectable for a rookie, it has to be said. Brilliant, brilliant race,
absolutely.
P5, Magny-Cours. And then he got that podium in Aragon, and it seems to have all just clicked. P3 in race 2 in Aragon, P1 Misano, P3 Misano, P4 in Catalonia, but only just missed out. He was in the race lead until the final corner, and then he went and got that win in Barcelona, and he looks dead set here. 4.2 second advantage in a Junior GP race, and he's dead set here for another race win. There is no plan B for Marco Morelli. Plan A seems to be working pretty well for the Argentinian.
Yeah, Brian Uriarte now ahead of Jesus Rios again.
Yeah, I think we were just thrown a little bit by the graphics on the left-hand side. Nearly caught us out, but don't worry. Brian Uriarte and Jesus Rios, as they have been for the majority of this race, still battling for P2. 4.5 seconds or so behind Marco Morelli.
Which, as we mentioned earlier, is costly to both of their opportunities to finish on that top step. If they weren't battling so much, maybe they'll be able to keep up with the pace that Marco Morelli is setting. Unlikely, given the velocity that the Argentinian is displaying on track here in Valencia.
Aside from the honour of finishing P2 as well, which both riders will want to do as they are competitors, it would be more valuable in the context of the championship, of course, to Jesus Rios, who is hoping to get himself among those medal positions. He's 11 points behind Rico Salmela coming into this race. I'm not going to do the quick maths in my head because I have failed and failed and failed too many times before. But Joel Esteban currently sits in P3, and Esteban is running in P4, and under pressure here, it has to be said, from both David Gonzalez and Adrian Cruces, and the pressure does tell. David Gonzalez does take P4 off the hands of Esteban, so that will affect that battle for bronze medal, and Jesus Rios is gaining ground on both Rico Salmela and Joel Esteban, who he started 11 and 9 points behind before lights out went on this race. So if he can get himself up into P2, there's 4 points on offer here, as well, of course, as the silver a podium second place finish. But 4 big points, it would have to be said, to get himself into the battle for bronze and make it a real 3-way shootout in race 2. Joel Esteban, is he going to fight back here on David Gonzalez? Nothing going for him through turn 4 nor turn 5. What about turn 6? Angel Nieto corner. Are we going to see the 78 dive up the inside? No, he's too far back, so nothing going. It looks like Gonzalez just has this one covered. There are more opportunities coming up. Nothing yet, but Brian Uriarte going to fire up the inside of Jesus Rios. This is a great battle, and I tell you what, Connor, if these two keep taking chunks out of each other, this battle for P2 and P3 between 2 riders could potentially become a 5-rider shootout.
There goes Rios on the inside there. Absolutely it could, and don't rule out Adrian Cruzes as well, who was just behind David Gonzalez and Joel Esteban there. Very much biding his time to make his move, but on a circuit as complicated as this one, so difficult to make overtakes, you also are awaiting any errors to pounce upon by your rivals on track.
Yeah, currently these two have about a 2.5 second advantage over the trio of riders behind them. And we'll take a look at the lap times coming over. 1:38 flat, 1:38.1 from Rios and Uriarte as Uriarte fires himself back in. And then 1:37.8, 1:37.7. So similar lap times from these two groups. That's not going to help the chasing group behind though, as they all run it wide. So maybe they just don't have the pace as they keep taking chunks out of each other as well. But Uriarte and Rios are still battling away for the silver medal here in race 1 in Valencia. You might be asking, if you just joined us, where is Marco Morelli? There he is, a good 5.3 seconds ahead, the race leader. The number 97 is just on a whole other level today.
Yeah, almost impossible to keep him in the same shot there. And we can just see at the other side of that, further behind David Gonzalez, Adrian Cruzes and Joel Esteban, Rico Salmela is currently one of the fastest riders on track, one of only 2 riders who have broken into the 1:37s alongside Marco Morelli. So despite that long lap penalty, he's going to be edging closer and closer to this group who are battling it out for P3 and could very much still stand on the podium with 4 laps to go.
Yeah, and almost as if to emphasize your point, just a moment ago it was impossible to keep Marco Morelli in the same shot. We had a brilliant shot coming through 9 and 10 thereof, which really just underscored and highlighted the difference between the riders here in race 1. There we go, another one. The number 97 already approaching turn 1 as the rest of the field come out of the final corner. Morelli then, 3 laps to go. He can not ease off, but he can take it steady and make sure there are no mistakes as he looks to deliver another victory in the Junior GP campaign and wrap up the silver medal in this year's championship. Taking a look at some of the other riders coming across, that's the number 13, Hakim Danish, riding in a lonely 9th place. Veda Pratama then at the head of this group with Pugliese, Matani and Mounsey.
Yeah, the battle further back. It was always going to be tougher when you're in the middle of the pack to try and get out of it, try and pull away, but looks like they've settled into a bit of a rhythm, these riders further back. Now they're engaged in their own battle. We also saw Adrian Cruzes there make his move earlier on David Gonzalez. He's now moved up to P5 and is now chasing Joel Esteban for P4.
Yeah, an excellent outing this weekend from Cruzes, who has had plenty of experience riding different bikes. So to come here in the Junior GP category in the final weekend and put in a performance like this is pretty stellar stuff before he moves up to the Moto3 World Championship next season. And we're going to see a move here. Dodo Baggio and Enzo Ballon battling here for the final point scoring place.
But anyone in this group could claim that P15.
Yeah, exactly.
There is
Marco Morelli already done with another lap.
4 seconds until anyone else appears on the screen. That's the extent to which Marco Morelli is running away with this opening race in Junior GP here in Valencia.
Yeah, sensational stuff. Rios leads over the line out of the final corner, but as we've seen a couple times already, Brian Uriarte dives up the inside into turn 1. Joel Esteban still at the head of this group. Well, Adrian Cruzes did, of course, make a move, but Esteban has regained that. Rico Salmela then in the background, the number 27, served a long lap penalty. And just looks to be closing in, but it might just be a little bit too late for him to make a move on these guys ahead of him. He's got about a second or so to catch Leonardo Zani ahead of him and Adrian Cruzes. Excuse me, not Zani, Adrian Cruzes and David Gonzalez. Leonardo Zani running behind Salmela, the number 57 in P8. So a reminder then that this battle for P4 does have some larger consequences. Joel Esteban currently sits in the bronze medal position. But if he was to concede some points, chiefly to the riders behind him, Rico Salmela,
he is getting a lot closer, isn't he?
You visibly see it. Rico Salmela came into this race in that bronze medal position and I think there are currently 3 points separating them. So any switches here could have larger consequences in the context of the title race. So championship standings, David Gonzalez, is he going to make a little move? Indeed, there's only 2 points behind them rather than 3. So any move is crucial, and David Gonzalez is making one. Has he made that one stick? He has indeed. So now there's just 1 point between them. Scratch that, because Adrian Cruces has also gone through on Joel Esteban. What about at turn 1? Brian Uriarte's gone back in front of Jesus Rios. 2 abreast. Cruces now leading. Esteban out of shape there coming into turn 1, but manages to stop it. Not in, still goes a little bit wide, but holds on to 4th position. And all this has brought Rico Salmela back into play, and he has picked off Adrian Cruces for 5th position.
Yeah, this is chopping and changing all the time, both on our timesheets and in the live championship. Rios there moving up to P2 briefly, so we'll have to wait and see exactly what goes on in this final lap, but this is going to be exciting from start to finish, Chris.
Yeah, 2 big battles unfolding here on the last lap. The battle for the podium and the battle for 4th, which has consequences in the championship standing. So Rios is in P2 and Esteban leads this battle. Rico Salmela is in 6th with David Gonzalez sandwiched in between them. Adrian Cruces in tow as well. Will these riders make a move late on? There are a couple opportunities left, but it's Esteban who cruises around 9 and 10 with the advantage. What about in the battle for 2nd? It looks like Rios still leads over Uriarte, but you better believe there is going to be a move coming. Marco Morelli has got this one sewn up. He's coming around the final corner and he is going to win. What about here? There's a few riders wide. Look at Rico Salmela. He goes into 5th position with a ballsy move past David Gonzalez, the number 97. No frills on him. He is brilliant today and he takes back-to-back victories. Who is going to take 2nd place? Is it Rios? Is it Uriarte? It's going to be a photo finish. It looks like it's Uriarte and Joel Esteban Gonzalez. It's Rico Salmela who gets 4th position ahead of David Gonzalez, and Joel Esteban, after all of that, is shuffled back to 6th position. So, catch your breath. Brilliant last lap. Marco Morelli wins in emphatic fashion, 6.1 seconds over his closest contender, which was Brian Uriarte, who had 9 thousandths of a second to spare over Jesus Rios in that battle for P2. It all came up trumps for Rico Salmela in the battle for bronze. Rios losing out on 4 crucial points, and Salmela made a last corner move on David Gonzalez, Joel Esteban to pinch P4. Gonzalez 5th and Joel Esteban shuffled back to 6th after a breathless last lap.
It truly was breathless, wasn't it, Chris? Rico Salmela doing incredibly well after that long lap penalty to come through and fight his way back through what looked like a very, very difficult pack, and did so well to seal P4. Absolutely incredible from the Finn. What a race 1. Now we'll have to wait and see what he can do in race 2 as well, but he's shown that he's capable of keeping up with the likes of David Gonzalez, Joel Esteban and Adrian Cruces. What a performance.
A wheelie then for Jesus Rios as he celebrates another podium. That's a 4th podium of the season. Indeed, it's a 5th, including his victory in Barcelona last time out. It's a 2nd, 3rd place, P3 in Jerez race 1. There have been a couple of P2s coming his way in Jerez as well as in Misano. Victory last time in Barcelona for Jesus Rios, and now he's got P3 as he very much enters the fray for that bronze medal. Rico Salmela will hold on to it going into race 2 after all that late drama, but Rios does close up on him as Joel Esteban loses a little bit of ground back in P6. Casey O'Gorman, of course, was also in the reckoning for a top 3 finish, but unfortunately the Estrella Galicia rider had to retire with a mechanical issue by the looks of things. Brian Uriarte showing the class of a champion, that has to be said. Perhaps not at his imperious best, as we've seen him many times this year. Uriarte dogged it out, toughed it out, but Jesus Rios pinched silver medal for Valencia race 1 on the line with just 9 thousandths of a second. You could have thrown a blanket over them. But what about this young rider here, the number 97, Marco Morelli, goes back to back. Race 2 winner in Barcelona, race 1 winner here in Valencia. He will be looking to do 3 in a row, and it would take a brave person to bet against him, because he was utterly sensational. He has been all weekend. We mentioned it before the race. He had half a second to spare in qualifying. He was quicker than the Moto3 World Championship guys. There we go, the celebration. He was quicker than the Moto3 World Championship front row last weekend in qualifying yesterday, as were Uriarte and Rios in qualifying. But sensational stuff from Marco Morelli. Let's take a listen in.
Has cortado un poco, ¿no? Al final. No he llegado.
Good to see plenty of fans out in attendance as well here at the season finale. 1 week on from the MotoGP season finale as well, as we see the live championship there, and confirmation then that Uriarte 219 points, but Morelli extends his advantage out to 23 points. So he hasn't wrapped up the silver medal just yet, but I think it's fair to say there's 1 hand and 4 fingers on it. The top 14 finish will see him take the silver medal in the 2025 Junior GP Championship, as battle for bronze is well and truly alive. Jesus Rios all smiles then. Another brilliant outing from the young Spaniard, who picks up a podium before his move to the Snipers team in 2026 in the Moto3 World Championship. We will, of course, hear from Marco Morelli very shortly, once he is done debriefing with the Grid M Lab team. Here are some of the key moments then from the opening race of the day. Brian Uriarte firing it up the inside of Jesus Rios, and this is the photo finish. Look how close this is. Oh, 9,000ths of a second. That's what that looks like. Absolutely sensational stuff from those two riders, while Rico Salmela has to be mentioned, a superb ride. May not have got any silverware in race 1, but he came through the long lap penalty and battled his way back to P4. So he holds on to P3 in the championship for the time being. So without any further ado, race 1 belongs to Marco Morelli, and we can hear from the Argentinian now. He's down with Connor.
That's right, Chris. Marco, you were absolutely incredible yesterday, sealing pole, and today you've shown us just how brilliant you are again. How does it feel to take this win?
Yeah, I feel amazing. We did a fantastic job yesterday. It's true, we did a super lap in the qualifying, but from all the weekend we had a good pace. I feel quite strong with the bike. It just comes easy now, and this is a good thing. I don't need to push as hard as sometimes I did. So when you are in this situation, it's quite easy to go fast, no? And today in the race, I tried to do a good start. I did it. I arrived first on the first corner, and I can do all my pace during all the race. And yeah, we take the victory. I'm super happy. Thank you for the team, and finish like this is super nice, because as I say, this weekend is my last 2 races with them, with M Lab Junior team, and I only remember all the great things we had together. So yeah, one more, and let's see if we can do the same. Thank you.
Ayer hiciste una quali impresionante y hoy has hecho una carrera, la primera carrera del día, que también ha sido fenomenal. ¿Cómo te encuentras después de habernos enseñado todo eso?
No, muy contento. La carrera fue muy complicada, pero por ir solo, al final había un poco de viento, dificultad, era un poquito difícil en el primer sector, pero nada, me supe adaptar bien, hice una buena salida, me pude escapar y tirar, hacer mis ritmos desde el principio y súper contento, la verdad. Nada, disfrutar estos momentos que son mis últimas 2 carreras con este equipo y la verdad que siempre los llevaré en el corazón y estaré eternamente agradecido por todo lo que han hecho por mí.
Congratulations.
It was perfection from pole for Marco Morelli in the Junior GP Race 1 from Valencia. The Argentinian started P1 on the grid, got the perfect launch and opened up a significant gap on the opening and following laps over Brian Uriarte and Jesus Rios. Uriarte and Rios went wheel to wheel across the race in the battle for second, while a little bit further back the likes of David Gonzalez, Rico Salmela, Joel Esteban, Adrian Cruces battled for fourth as Christian Daniel Jr. crashed out of contention. Jesus Rios then moving ahead of Brian Uriarte, but every time Rios tried to make a move, Uriarte had the answer, particularly at turn 1. An interesting eye was cast then on P4, that battle having significant consequences in the medal positions battle. Rico Salmela was running fourth, had to go through the long lap penalty, but quickly began working his way through the field again. Leonardo Zani there, the number 57, powerless to resist the flying Finn. David Gonzalez led this group with Joel Esteban and Adrian Cruces for a period as Uriarte and Jesus Rios just kept going at it in that battle for P2. And again, Esteban was doing much of the front running in P4, but Rico Salmela closed up the gap on the final 2 laps, getting ahead of Cruces, then striking late on both David Gonzalez and Joel Esteban to fire himself into 4th position. The battle for P2 raged on across the course of the final lap as the number 97 Marco Morelli romped home to victory. Brian Uriarte did win that battle for second by 9,000ths of a second. Rico Salmela in 4th.
JuniorGP, donde el equipo ganador ha sido el Grid M-Lab Racing, representado por Ben Baxter.
Podium celebrations time. Ben Baxter of the M-Lab Racing squad, the team representative of Marco Morelli. Jesus Rios first out to pick up P3, his P3 medal. Brian Uriarte second, his 4th second place of the campaign, almost matching his wins total. 5 wins and 4 P2s for Uriarte. Marco Morelli then picking up his 3rd victory of the campaign.
Don Nicolás Collado, director del circuito, entregará el trofeo al tercer clasificado, Jesús Ríos.
The first of 2 races, of course, today, but what a moment for all these 3 riders who bid farewell to the Junior GP category as they set off on new ventures in the Moto3 World Championship stage. 3 unbelievable talents leaving the Junior GP category, it has to be said.
Entregará el trofeo al vencedor de la carrera Junior GP, Marco Morelli.
And finally, the gold trophy for Marco Morelli, handed out by a rider who knows a thing or two about winning world championships. David Alonso in attendance here this weekend, the Moto3 World Champion. Now, of course, riding in Moto2, picked up a couple of wins.
esos aplausos.
A wonderful rendition
para
then of
Marco
Himno
Morelli,
Nacional Argentino.
Brian Uriarte y Jesús
Played
Ríos,
once
el
again on the
momento de
podium here, as
celebrarlo.
that is a flawless execution
Todos con cava,
from
menos
Marco Morelli in the
Uriarte.
race, and of course of opening
Tiene
the
ahí la
Prosecco
gaseosa.
there. Brilliant stuff, Connor. It has to be said from Marco Morelli, untouchable in race 1, and he's going to be very difficult to beat in race 2.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the third time we've heard it in the last 6 races for the Argentine national anthem. So absolutely sensational from Marco Morelli.
I think we need to start learning the words.
A 6-second gap there
Yeah,
between riders of the caliber of Uriarte and Rios as well.
Yeah, I think we need to brush up on our South American national anthems. Of course, David Alonso in attendance, the Colombian Moto3 world champion, picked up a couple Moto2 wins, I was going to say, this season in his rookie year. And maybe now next season, the Argentinian anthem could play if Marco Morelli continues this form into Moto3 World Championship. Victorious here today ahead of Brian Uriarte and Jesus Rios. Rico Salmela fought back to claim 4th ahead of David Gonzalez, Joel Esteban and Adrian Cruces. Leonardo Zani, Hakim Danish picking up top 10 finishes. As does Veda Pratama. He came out on top of that battle with Giulio Pugliese, Sullivan Mouncy and Zen Matane. Enzo Bellon, Dodo Baggio complete the point scores as Cupozzo, Monagnane and Evan Belford just miss out on a top 15. As does Chiata Stack, Singapong, Lennox Fomara, Leonardo Abruzzo, Lucas Brown, Eric Michelon, Marianos Nicolis, Kevin Farkas and Kotaro Ushiumu among the finishers here in race 1. As are Cesare Tiesi, Edu Bertala, Randy Truchot and Loris Skunrock. Casey O'Gorman, Christian Danny Jr. and Leo Ramesdorfer all retiring from the race.
And that means that the Riders' Championship is shaping up like this. Brian Uriarte with his unassailable lead, of course, followed by Marco Morelli and Rico Salmela. Currently P4, Joel Esteban. P5, Jesus Rios, who moves up 1 spot. Casey O'Gorman moves down to 6th. Leonardo Zani 7th. Hakim Danish 8th. And Dab Gonzalez currently 9th. Then it's Veda Pratama in 10th. In P11, Zen Mitani, who drops down 2 spots. Giulio Pugliese in 12th. Leo Ramesdorfer 13th. Evan Belford 14th. Sullivan Mouncy 15th. Dodo Baggio in P16. And Leonardo Abruzzo 17th for the time being. Beñat Fernandez 18th. Paulsina 19th. 20th, Adrian Cruces, who moves up 5 spots there with his performance today. Lennox Famara 21st, Monagnane 22nd, Singapong 23rd, Enzo Bellon 24th, and Michelon 25th. Nicolis in 26th, Lucas Brown 27th, and Kevin Farkas 28th.
Race 1 in Valencia then belongs to the Argentinian star in the making, the number 97. Marco Morelli converts pole to victory here in Spain. A superb performance. Can he do it again in race 2 later today? Or will the likes of Brian Uriarte, Jesus Rios have a say in the victory fight? Well, make sure you tune in a little bit later. We'll also have plenty more title deciders to come during the day. Next up is the European Talent Cup in about 2 minutes' time. We'll see you then.